Like, you have like a good neck crack and it's just like, tension has been relaxed. It's like you have been stressed. You do just one like crack of your back and it's like, peace. Oh man. But dude, I honestly, this whole thing, right? Everything that's happened within this last month is ridiculous. So,
just wait, we're gonna say something else like that.
So, speaking of which, hello guys and welcome to the HZRDCast. I know, it is weird having more than one episode in 1 month. Well, in like less than a month. Holy shit. But this is actually going to be a very interesting one, especially because literally within the last like week from when we first recorded the previous one to now, more gaming stuff has come out, which is insane, as well as a lot of other stuff that has occurred, which is just ridiculous when it comes to it. So obviously, I'm here with Sapphire. And let's obviously start off with the beginning part. Sony now owns Bungie for $3.6 billion. Which is insane. Now, obviously, this has been in talks for a while, because normally that's kind of what happens with negotiations and purchases. It happens for it. But, oh boy, just the amount of shit that will be going down now is going to be amazing and perfect. Because it's kind of now the start of what people have been calling within the gaming industry the acquisition wars. This technically started off not with Microsoft, but with actually Take-Two. Because did you hear about the fact that Take-Two bought Zynga? Because that happened before the Microsoft deal.
What was Zynga?
Zynga was the hold on, let me actually get it up here, because if I'm trying to remember off of my own like end as well. But Zynga was essentially the company that made like Farmville, Words with Friends. Like, they were a mobile company. Like, they were in their heyday back when like Facebook was still like popular and TikTok didn't exist. And all of us were like in, you know, in our like childhoods. We're in high school.
Toxic, I can't hear you.
Oh my fucking god, I fucking hate this so much. Jesus Christ, why is this still fucking doing this stuff? What the fuck is going on here?
You good?
I don't know. That's okay, that's weird. For some reason, my shit disconnected. Okay, that's interesting. All right, so that's great. Anyway, we're back. I don't know why, but hey. How about now? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, perfect. So Zynga, for anyone who was under the age of fucking 18, used to make mobile games. Very popular one of Farmville, Zynga Poker, Word with Friends. They were very, very popular on the site called Facebook, which is now Meta, and is a fifth smaller than what it was before. But that's neither here or there. But essentially, what they were is a mobile game developer, and so Zynga was bought out by Take-Two Interactive earlier in the month. Let me actually get the actual date now of when that purchase was. Let's see here. Because it was like, I think... Yep, so it was on January 10th. It was announced that Take-Two Interactive was to acquire social game developer Zynga in a $12.7 billion deal. Now, people have said, and this was before. Again, this was before the Take-Two, before the acquisition of Activision Blizzard. This was the biggest, one of the biggest, I think, of acquisitions within gaming. Now, granted, that's 12.7 billion. That's like a lot, but when you think about it, it's just like it's insane to think of, like, to see how this kind of like evolved and kind of, because we had Take-Two, and then we also had Tencent actually buy something too recently. I'm trying to remember exactly what they purchased, because I know that they purchased something recently. Let me actually just double check here. Oh yes, so they bought out Turtle Rock. But the one thing is that there was other, but that was kind of like earlier on. That was like late last year. I'm trying to remember if they actually did any other purchase. I don't think so. Nothing recently, but I think Tencent did have one for like a, like they were buying like up like a ton of companies. There was like the Sumo group that was out of the UK, and other things. Like acquisitions were going left and right at this point. And then we fast forward to Microsoft and be like, yo, we'll take you for $70 billion. And then, literally less than a week later, Sony and Bungie both announced that they're...
You've got to wonder, though, was the Bungie thing in response to them buying...
It was not.
You need to wait before you assume. I'm not talking about Activision Blizzard. I'm talking about them acquiring Bethesda.
Personally, I'm not thinking that it was something that was acquired by Bethesda. Like, I don't think the acquisition of Bethesda had much of an impact, because I feel like if it was in response...
You're telling me them acquiring one of the biggest game IPs, aka Elder Scrolls and Fallout, wouldn't cause Sony to kind of want to do some kind of response.
I mean, it's more the fact that...
It doesn't necessarily mean it is, but you've got to wonder, though, is it potentially a response to that?
It's possible. It is possible.
It's not physically possible to be a response to Activision, because these things take way more time than that.
They take months. Like people have been speculating like the purchase of Bungie was like in the talks for like 6 months at that point before they announced it. So I'm not that surprised. It's possible. I mean, like it could be even the fact that this may be a response to Tencent acquisitions too. But
maybe.
But again, I think we're getting to the point where this is now kind of considered officially the point where we may be seeing more companies being bought out. There's a chance, because again, the main four is, as of now, is Tencent, Sony, Take-Two, and Xbox, or Microsoft. But again, the Xbox division.
Mm-hmm.
And so those are now the main players, especially, after they were like, yo, we want to get Activision. Here we go. Let's just do it. And like there's a lot of other things that can come into this, because, there's still a lot of other players that can eventually get purchased out. But again, we still have no finalization on that. Granted, it seems like it's going to go through in 2023, but again, the FTC is just like, hey, yo, I want you to hold up on that for a second, buddy. Like, you need to chill, okay? You need to chill.
Here's the thing. I don't think they'll do anything, because they didn't do straight about they didn't do it straight about. I know they can't. Well, but here's the thing, right? them investigating it, I'm just like, there's nothing I just don't believe they'll do anything because they let Disney get away with shit.
Oh, they did not. Because here's the one thing. They said, okay, yeah, you can purchase Disney. You can purchase Fox, but guess what? You have to sell these parts of what Fox owns. But
the stuff they sold wasn't important to them though.
Well, yeah, obviously, yeah, of course. But it's still the fact that they didn't have the full acquisition of Fox, which was the huge thing that the FTC cared about. Now, granted, Disney didn't care for majority of the shit that they sold off. They were okay, whatever. We only really care for this, and this. We can sell the rest for all we give a damn. Go right ahead, FTC. Tell us to do that. And so that is kind of where the thing is that, and again, people are gonna, in this case, it's gonna possibly do the same thing. Maybe they'll need to sell off King or maybe Ravensoft or something, some minor shit that really doesn't matter compared to the big picture. Because again, that's a ton of studios. Most of them being the only major ones that people will talk about is Infinity Ward, Treyarch, Ravensoft, Sledgehammer. Those are the major ones that you think of. And then there's also obviously the Blizzard division. And then also what's it called? Toys for Bob. But again, we just need to see what they do with it, because if the FTC just says, "Oh yeah, sell all the useless crap," in the eyes of Microsoft, they will, and then they'll be fine. But then I think the best part was, and this is the best thing out of the entire part of it, of this purchase that Sony made, is that they literally said, here's $1.2 billion. Keep your people there. Do not fire anybody. And then, we saw the effects of that, of, them announcing live service model games. How many was it? 10 you said? Or
by March, what they want to do is by March 2026, they want to have 10 live service games up and running.
Mm-hmm. And as of right now, there is only 3. Well, 4 technically. I mean, yeah, 4. 4 live service model games that you can name off the top of your head that are successful. Warzone.
And for Sony to do that is going to be incredibly difficult.
Oh, 100%. They're essentially going to be demanding.
You're not talking about creating just one, because you could probably create just one and it'd work fine, right? But to create 10 live service games that are somehow going to attain the retention,
it's going to be difficult.
Keep people following it for however long they want.
It's going to be difficult.
That's an ambitious project that will probably see a lot of those IPs fail.
Oh, yes. I mean, again, the 4 off the top of my head that I can say is Warzone, Fortnite, Apex Legends, and Destiny 2. Those are the 4 major ones that are still considered successful as of now. And all of them are run under different publishers as well as different developers. Bungie has Destiny. EA, well, technically Respawn, but EA has Apex. Epic has Fortnite. Microsoft now, pending 2023, has Warzone. And so it's having 10 under one is just I can guarantee you what they're doing is they're doing the shotgun method. Where they're just going to fire off a ton of IPs, a ton of live service models, and then whatever works, whatever hits, they're going to support. And then the rest they'll just let die out, I don't know, Division. Or, I mean, didn't they move, actually, speaking of which, speaking of Ubisoft, didn't they already move over to Breakpoint as their primary live quote unquote live service game. If I remember, like, because
I'm not sure. I've not followed anything with Breakpoint.
Only thing that I remember from Breakpoint is a failure of NFTs. But okay, first, time to get off topic. But holy shit, I'm gonna do a little rant here. If you're a game developer, game publisher, or even have the inkling thought that using an NFT in a game is a good idea, fucking stop. Control yourself. It is a waste of time, resources, and money for you. You're not going to make much out of it. NFTs do not work well in the system that you're trying to make them work. They only would work well in a decentralized ecosystem. You are constraining NFTs to one small ecosystem. It will not work the way you think it will. And there's multiple different examples in the fucking past that show that NFTs have failed within the gaming space. There was literally no reason to do that. So if for some reason you're under a fucking rock, NFTs are just tokens that have a line of code that essentially just tracks on who owns them and who doesn't. And obviously, again, they're based off blockchain. And personally, NFTs, I think, are a very good thing, but the problem is that right now it's at the cash grab stage, because we're seeing friggin' JPEGs being like sold for like millions of dollars just because they're an NFT. You see companies creating like shit for NFTs that, again, ultimately fail, and it just becomes a point where it's just like scams and all that stuff. And so it's like it's a fucking nightmare as of right now. Like there's 100% possible, there's always going to be potential for good using NFTs. Right now it's just not it. And it's just like, I really hope people can actually like open their eyes and kind of understand that using NFTs to make a quick buck is literally going to make your, like, the use of your resources go in vain. Anyway, back to what I was saying before, acquisition wars. And so another one that I actually did want to talk about was a group over from the Saudi Arabia, I forget what their name is, the Savvy Gaming Group. There we go. The Savvy Gaming Group bought ESL and Faceit for $1.5 billion. Now, personally for you, as someone who's on the competitive scene of many multiplayer games, may not know exactly what those are, but they are fairly big. So by any chance, have you ever heard of them, like Faceit or ESL?
No, I don't think I have.
All right, so just to kind of give a quick run through of it, ESL and Faceit are essentially competitive companies, meaning that they host and they they promote and they broadcast competitive matches. So Faceit is a client that makes it where you can connect into unique servers, like third-party servers, for official matches. Like, for example, for CSGO, the official servers that Valve own are 64 ticks, which is not bad, but it kind of sucks compared to what Faceit goes off of, which is a 128 tick. So they have it where they do upgrades to keep it at a competitive level where, you're fighting on a higher plane, like on a higher level of play. And so that's why you'll see like ESL does the same thing as well. Like both of those are clients. And then ESL has, hosted tournaments for Rocket League, CSGO. I think, what else? I think COD as well. They did one before the world one, the whatever COD championship shit's going on.
Mm-hmm.
That, like, dude, so many fucking pro players for COD, like the COD League, friggin' hate it because they can't even play until 3 months after the game's release. And it's friggin' depressing. Like, that is not what you want to have as like a plate, and it's like, oh yeah, we're not gonna do any official matches for 3 months. She's like, oh my god, that's just like a lot of the time that's their livelihood. You know, they play professional sports. You need they need to know how to play. They need to actually be able to, like, you know, do stuff competitively. But anyway, back to what I was saying before. They were bought out by a Saudi Arabian group called, you know, Savvy Gaming. And they're, you know, and the reason why that, you know, it's saying like as the Saudi Arabian group is because they were like Savvy Gaming Group was funded by the Saudi Arabian's government underneath the Public Investment Fund, like, you know, situation. Now, let me actually, oh, never mind. It was 1.5 billion for both, for in total. Faceit was 500 million, ESL was 1 billion. But it's still the fact of like, oh boy, like that's still a huge thing. And so, you know, like, again, like, it's just purchases and acquisitions, like, all out the ass at this point. But just...
It's like a
fucking fire sale, dude.
Well, you know, there's another acquisition that happened. I think it was either yesterday or Thursday.
Oh,
it was at some point this week. The New York Times acquired Wordle.
Oh yeah. I forgot about that. But again, like, I think the funny part is that, like, you know, the fact that New York Times bought Wordle, and it's just like everyone's just thinking like, wait, is it gonna be free in the future? And I'm just thinking like, it's the New York Times, they need to make money. Do you really think it's gonna be free? You really think it's gonna be free? That's a good joke, my dude. That's a very good joke. But oh my god, I just find it fucking hilarious. It's like within the span of a month, like not even a month at that point, the span of what, 3 weeks? Actually, no. So when was it announced? It was the Bungie acquisition was announced, what, on the 24th, right? 24th or
what? The Microsoft?
No, the Bungie acquisition. Was it earlier this?
Bungie acquisition was earlier this, I think, or less. I don't remember.
Well, I mean,
Bungie, Sony. Let me look this up very quickly.
I mean, regardless, it's like in the span of like 3 weeks. Over $100 billion. Well, sorry, over like $80 billion exchanged hands in terms of acquisitions at this point. And, you know, we just got started. Like, you know, not only that, also, speaking of which, of Take-Two has also confirmed one thing. GTA 6, or the next iteration of whatever GTA is going to be, is in the works. And, dude, the stock price when GTA 6 was announced fucking skyrocketed.
I bet.
It was, like, I looked at it, because I saw it, like, you know, I saw it, like, show up, because it was trending for a moment, and I was like, oh, shit. And I looked 13 minutes ago. Oh, yeah, by the way, I know you guys have been, like, talking, you know, been wondering and speculating and all that stuff. We are doing it. We are, you know, we're here to confirm, yes, it's in the works. And then I'm just like, okay, 15 minutes ago, I look at, like, because obviously I have the TD Ameritrade app. I look at it, and I'm just like, oh, that's a huge lineup. And it's great. Because honestly, it's just the fact of like, oh, hey, yeah, finally, you don't have to like spend so much fucking time in goddamn GTA 5 anymore. Now, again, granted, people are kind of still expecting GTA Online is still going to exist within the same like thing. People are kind of like going off of that.
They might do a Warzone-esque thing.
It's possible. I'm thinking that too. Like they may do something of that sort, but I feel like I don't know. I feel like the one thing is that they may have it where it's like, you know, if they were to do kind of like a Warzone thing, it's going to be a lot bigger than what, you know, what Warzone has done. Because again, you know, the way that GTA Online is that I think it's likely that if anything, they're going to have it where, you know, you either choose one or the other. Like I don't think that they're going to have it where, you know, oh yeah, they're both going to be available for you. You know, it's like if you own both games, then yes, you can go and choose between one or the other. Like you can go to Los Santos or then, you know, wherever the hell they have, you know, GTA 6, whether it's in like Liberty City or, you know, some friggin' bumfuck nowhere city that they're gonna create. I wouldn't be surprised. Speaking of which, where do you think they're gonna go in terms of like location? Because they've done Liberty City, which is New York, San Andreas, which is like the LA area, and then Vice City, which is Miami. Where do you think, where else can they go with this? Because I really can't think of any major like hotspot that you can really go in terms of like
Hawaii.
I mean, that's possible. I mean, that would actually be kind of a cool concept too. Like you just hop between like islands. That would be kind of.
I can't think of a single game that takes place in Hawaii, to be honest.
I mean, granted, a lot of like the whole like what crisis happened in like the Pacific Islands or some shit like that, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
it's like, oh yeah, they're here, but it's just insane to think about. Now, when it does come to like other stuff, oh, I am just very excited. We are what? I think 18 days from the Witch Queen launch. And oh boy. I can't wait. It's going to be great. I remember even I told my team leader at work, it's like, yeah, it's like this is like, don't be surprised if you just hear me just talk about Destiny 2 for like majority of the time after February 22nd. Like, yeah, nah, it's understandable. I mean, you heard me talk about Halo for like the entire time. It's like, yeah. I still haven't actually gone through the campaign of Infinite. I really need to do that.
You own it?
Yeah. I purchased it.
It's a good campaign. It's just, again, it's like I said, it's a really good character story. There's definitely a story. There's definitely an actual plot.
No.
It's just you're not going to care about the plot all that much compared to the actual character story.
I mean, that's kind of what like I had the intention of, because especially when they were just like, hey, yeah, you know this guy from Halo Wars? Yeah, he's the main antagonist at this point. And I'm just like,
I feel like 3 for 3 is at their best when they're doing character stories instead of overarching stuff.
Oh, 100%. 100%. I think the fact of what they did in Halo 4 with the relationship between Master Chief and Cortana was just perfect. Because I always like it when I just see people like changing and all that. I mean, granted, like, you know, it was just like, oh yeah, this just kind of happened over the span of like God knows how long. But then it's just like there's a lot of like weird things that happened within it. But it's like, if, you know, outside of looking at the actual like storyline, it still like is a really cool thing to actually like check out and see when it comes to it. Now, it's just ridiculous to think that, you know, they go from the story arc of like, you know, the character development of 4 to the piece of shit that they could send out in 5. It's like, yeah, we saw that you guys liked the whole like development thing of it. We're not gonna focus on that for this one.
You know, the thing about Halo 5, the weird thing, is that as much as I fucking think the campaign is stupid, I really wish that like we had actually gotten stuff in between 5 and Infinite. Because Infinite, as much as I like it,
it just seems like it's
out it really sucks. It really sucks when they bring up, okay, because here's the thing you're going to hear a lot in the story. You're going to hear a lot of things about how, oh, Cortana did this, or Cortana did that. Oh, this is what happened in Sydney on Earth, or this is what happened on this place on that planet, or this is what happened to the Spartan training facility, or blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, wow, that would have been a really
fucking great
game to see. I'm glad we got Infinite, but God, fuck, why are you teasing me with all this shit that happened in between?
That's always the thing that comes to it. Like, it's just ridiculous when it comes up, and it's just like, oh, hey, yeah, what's going on here? And it gets to that point where I think when they refer to like other stuff, like other events, it annoys me because of the fact that we'd never get a game that highlighted over that. Like, and that's also the reason why ODST is one of my favorite, if not the, my most loved Halo game, was because we saw what happened between 2 and 3. We saw how New Mombasa changed after, the cruiser jumped, right? And we saw the aftermath, and we saw, over time, like what caused, like you saw the whole, the different changes and like all the stuff that's going through. And it was nice because it was like, yes, right there. Perfect.
I kind of want to recommend playing on Legendary, but also like,
I mean, obviously I'm going to play on Legendary. That's good.
Here's a problem what I found out. So there is a credits thing to Halo Infinite.
Mm-hmm.
You get the credits thing regardless, but the Legendary has dialogue for the credits thing. Which the dialogue gives a fuck ton of context that I really wish was in the normal cutscene.
That's fucking hilarious. That's always the one thing, is just
Because like I beat it on heroic and I was like, yeah, I beat it, and then I got the cutscene and I'm like, oh, what's happening here? And there's no dialogue, there's nothing, and it's just showing a bunch of stuff, and I'm like, wow, I don't know what the fuck just happened, but I guess that's interesting. And then I look up the Legendary ending and I hear the dialogue and I'm like, well,
that's nice. I'm glad that I can hear this now. This is perfect. Like,
I do recommend trying to get as much of the audio logs as you can. There's 3 different sets of like audio logs that you can get.
Mm-hmm.
Each of them with different subsets as well. There's not a lot of audio logs as much as you'd think there is.
How many are there?
I don't know. There's like a good chunk of them, but it's not as much as I thought there'd be for an open world game. Definitely less than anything Ubisoft puts out. That's for fucking sure.
Literally, you can have 100 pieces of shit in a game, and it'll be less than what Ubisoft puts in one.
But Infinite has 3 different kinds of audio logs, and I do recommend getting them all because they provide a lot of interesting background. And there is something else that I do recommend kind of like checking out. So there are these things that you have to find all over the map. They're basically the kind of like propaganda things. You'll figure out what I'm talking about when you actually play it.
Yeah.
Find them and listen to the audio. Like, don't destroy them until you've listened. Like, don't interact with them. Don't destroy the stuff until you've heard all the dialogue. because it'll play a specific dialogue. Once it stops, you can destroy it. You can destroy it before then, but I do recommend listening to the dialogue because the dialogue is pretty amusing.
That's true.
Also,
Well, I mean,
this is probably the most amusing grunts I've ever been in a Halo game.
I mean, that makes sense. I mean, that's just kind of how it is when it comes to it. Like, I don't know why. It's just like every time there's audio logs or something with Halo, it's always intriguing. Like, I still remember within the anniversary edition of Halo 2. There's one. I'm trying to remember on which. I think it's on the highway. I'm trying to remember I can't remember the actual fucking level, unfortunately. I think it's a ToxicAWOL highway. Not sure if that's in Halo 2 or 3. But essentially there's one that you can pick up where it's essentially like, oh yeah, here is what, like, this is the report of General Vadimi, who is, at that point now is the Arbiter. Essentially was just like, he went in, invaded a city, got into the barracks, and he was just like, hold up, we caught these guys by surprise, let's actually have an honorable battle and let them get ready. And then just fucking massacred them because of just the overwhelming force that they provide.
I'm gonna warn you right now, you're gonna hate the boss fight. Because there's some of the boss fights that are not bad, but there's specific ones that are just like, why? Because there's a boss fight where one of them has a gravity hammer, and I don't know if it was just a problem that I had or whatever, but whenever he would hit me with it, it was an instant kill.
On Legendary?
Unheroic.
Unheroic? What? I mean, like, I understand if it was Legendary because, yeah, I think if I remember correctly, Grav Hammers did one shot in Legendary. Cause I still remember the fucking fight.
Oh, but here's the problem. I wouldn't have a problem with it being a one hit if like it was easy to dodge, right? But it's not easy to dodge because he lunges at you from from literally halfway across the room as if you're right in front of him and he's using an energy sword.
You gotta be fucking joking. There's no fucking way.
I died again in that fucking boss fight. I'm sure people listening already know what boss fight I'm talking about. I died in that boss fight way too many times than I should have. And I think I spent 10 minutes just kiting that fucker around to shoot him just shooting him and dealing with the other boss mechanics. I'm just like, Christ fucking sake, 3 for 3, why?
They're just like, nah, this is not hard enough. We gotta go harder. Perfect.
I've never felt more annoyed at a boss fight than that. And then the last boss fight is not necessarily bad, but there's a specific enemy that appears in the boss fight because you know how like Halo is notorious for having like AIs come in and help with its boss fights.
Oh yeah, yeah.
The last boss fight has a specific fucking brute that comes in. It just kicks your ass. It doesn't matter.
I feel like
if you're on heroic, it just kicks your ass. If you're on legendary, prepare to basically use all of your ammo on that thing.
I feel like I'm gonna get the vibes of the fucking warden from Doom
Also,
Eternal.
prepare to hate Hunter.
Oh, are the hunters actually gonna be a fucking menace for once? Like I thought they would have been?
So the way it works in this game
Mm-hmm.
is they introduce a mechanic. And I'm pretty sure it's always been a thing. I don't know if it's always been a thing in lore. I'm pretty sure it has been.
Mm-hmm.
But now hunters will always appear in pairs.
That's always been a thing.
But the thing is, I don't think it was as like the thing that I'm specifically mentioning though is when you kill one hunter, the other one becomes unbelievably enraged and just fucking wrecks your shit.
Now that's new. Because I do remember every time you would fight a hunter, it was always in groups of 2, and even in lore, they were always deployed as pairs of 2.
Yeah, because they're bonded. But now they have an enrage mechanic where if you kill the first one, the other one enrages and Have fun kiting it.
I mean, honestly, I was kind of hoping that that was something that they would have done beforehand. I'll admit. Because I always thought, like, you know, because of the fact that they're bonded, like, wouldn't the other one go, like, fucking crazy? And, like, berserk? Like, that should be how it works. And the fact
It's supposed to be how it works in lore, but it's the first time we're seeing it in a game, I think.
It's like, oh, yes, here we go. Here's where we apply it now. Because that's how it works.
And it worked. And, like, the hunters are used sparingly enough that when they show up, it's like, oh, well, fuck, I'm fucked.
That sounds right. But it's just, oh man, there's just so much stuff that like we're gonna have to go to, because you know obviously Dying Light 2 came out. I'd fucking hype for that. I can't play it though because the minimum spec I can't even run.
I'm pretty sure you and I are min spec.
Yes, but here's the thing: I wouldn't want to be min spec. I would rather be recommended.
Oh, we're above min spec, I think.
We're just above min spec, literally just because solely of our graphics card. Recommended.
No, I think I'm close. I'm pretty sure I'm recommended since the 1080 Ti is still better than the 2600.
Is it? You mean the 2060?
Yeah, 2060.
I mean, I have to see because I don't know if the 1080 is better or on par. I don't remember.
I'm pretty sure the 1080 is still better than the 2060.
I'll have to see.
Hold on, let me look this up.
I'm looking this up too.
2060.
Yeah, let's see here.
It seems to depend on a lot of factors. Like reflection wise, the TI is better. Lighting wise, the TI is better. Gravity effects, it's better.
I mean, it does look like that the 1080 is better.
It seems to vary on some things, but overall, from what I'm seeing, the 1080 Ti is around the same or better than a 2060.
Yeah.
What are the specs for Dying Light actually?
So for Dying Light, they even have one for like the recommendations, I remember. So
let's see. Intel CPU, I already have a better CPU than that. I have a i7 9700K.
Yeah,
I have 32 gigabytes of RAM, so that's already better. I have enough storage space. My graphics card is on the level of 2060.
Yeah, so
I'm basically recommended.
So literally, I'm recommended as well. Looking at it, because obviously I got an i7. I have a 1080. I love the fact. Okay, the best part is about this entire thing is that you can actually run this on a Windows 7.
Yeah,
that is great. I love that. I really do. Because they have it where it's like, yeah, we understand that, you know, it may be a potato, but hey, we want you to play it. It's a fucking good game. And personally,
yeah,
no, I'm not gonna hang on it. I'll go with it. I think the only thing that I'll be affected by is the RAM. That's it. Because I'm just at 16.
Games having 16 gigabytes of RAM. So I started seeing this become a thing, and I'm like, that's the reason why I bought 2 sticks of RAM. That way I'd have one stick 16, another stick 16, so I'd have 32.
Yeah.
There's a reason why I upgraded to 32. It's because games are starting to require literally 16 gigabytes.
Oh yeah, like honestly, for me,
I'm pretty sure Halo requires 16.
It's like everything requires 16, and it sucks. But the one thing is that I think, like, overall, I mean, I know, and this is going to be something
the recommended specs for Halo is 16 gigabytes.
Yeah.
Oh wow, the fucking recommended processor is literally the processor I have, an Intel i7 9700K for Infinite.
Are you fucking kidding me? I can't play it. Oh,
Well, you
fuck.
can. You can. It's just you won't have like amazing
I mean,
amazing specs. I recommend playing Infinite on like a mix of medium and high, probably, because I was struggling in some areas of the open world.
yeesh.
I mean, I know that obviously I'm gonna have it where it's essentially like majority of it's gonna be on low because
Yeah, surprisingly, the game looks really good on medium, actually.
that doesn't shock me at all. I think the game looks really nice on low. You know, because like it's actually even though like half the shit will like be a piece of shit in multiplayer, but it's still fucking fun. Like it's
Don't
still
worry,
nice.
it can't look possibly as bad as Legends Arceus.
Okay, Legends of Arceus is again, it's a Nintendo game. They're on like a completely different expectation line for all of their
Okay, but
games.
like I would argue against that considering Breath of the Wild is on Switch.
Exactly my point. It's just like they're on a completely different expectation line because again, even though it is, a Nintendo like published game, for some reason, Pokemon always likes to keep it where everything is fucking round and looks like it could be made out of Play-Doh. While, for Legend of Zelda and, all the entire Legend of Zelda series, they always are trying to just like go up one more step in like quality. Because when like the only time that I've seen ever a huge change in the design was from when they changed over from the Game Boy to the DS. But then after that, it just looks like they just made it cleaner each time and then just changed the camera view.
Yeah.
Like
Like, don't get me wrong, like Legends Arceus is playable, and I'm having fun with it.
Yeah.
But it is really weird to look at Legends Arceus and think it came out on the same console as Breath of the Wild and Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and Demon Machina and just all these other games that look so much better.
I mean, the one thing is that that's just how they are. That's how the Pokemon Company works. It's like, oh, we know that people are gonna buy this shit, so we'll just add more like functions to it. We're not gonna really care for the actual look of the game as much as everyone else does, because to them, it's just the functionality and the performance like of within the system. Because again, if you compare, the DS version of Platinum to Pokemon Go, you will see there is literally not much of a change other than, oh, this uses, better trait like GPS technology and actually does, it interacts with the world. Meanwhile, all these other games are just like they're trying to go higher in fidelity, like in, quality, but there isn't much of a dynamic shift in the mechanics. Like, yes, there's some like there's a lot of new stuff in there, but it's still based off of the same like foundation type deal, where it's like I mean, granted, Breath of the Wild I think is the most dynamic from like its predecessors, because one, it's not only its open world, there's also like wear and tear for like its for equipment. There's also like a lot of different mechanics, and honestly that's why I kind of like when I see it I'm just like, that is dope, and I kind of wish I had a Nintendo Switch. But outside of that, there's not much that like, that's why I don't have one. It's just because it's like the games that I would play don't really look as good as I kind of want them to, even though they're pretty much childhood. But that's just kind of me.
It also kind of depends on the game, right? Because like you look at Mario
Kart.
Mario Kart looks great on it, and Splatoon looks great. And something, the Wii U had the Super Mario 3D World, which when I played that game, I was surprised by how good that game looked graphically.
It was a shame that the Wii U fucking sucked. in terms of sales.
Here's the reason why it sucked. Majority of people. Here's the reason why it sucked. Nintendo did not fucking advertise it correctly. Most of the people I know, and I can guarantee you most people on the internet probably thought this, the Wii U was a attachment to the Wii.
Yeah, honestly, I would have thought the same thing.
I thought that's what the Wii U was too, because I hadn't looked at it properly. And so I didn't buy a Wii U until basically the last 2 years of its lifespan.
I still remember there was a game that came out on the Wii U, which was like actually somewhat decent, because I think it was like Zombie U, but they again because it got ported over to to PC, it became Zombie. But essentially the whole dynamic of it is that you're a survivor in London of a zombie outbreak, and you're following this dude, and it's like, if you die, you're another person, and you start from scratch. It's like a roguelike, like zombie survival, which is frigging a very interesting game and a really cool kind of dynamic. And it's just like, it sucks because it's like it was on the Wii U, and so it really didn't function well as people were kind of hoping. Because, it's like you look, because you can actually open up your bag and all that. But the thing is that because of the way that the fucking Wii U was, it's like, oh, you have to look down away from the screen. And the thing was, you were not paused when you looked in your inventory at all. It was like, oh yeah, everything's still going around. So if a zombie sees you while you're in there and you're not paying attention, you will die. Or you will get hit. And the problem is that because the Wii U wasn't, at its highest level of performance, it was very fucking slow at responding. So you can't just oh shit, escape button and then just, beat the shit out of the zombie. It just becomes this whole thing that was it was more realistic, but honestly was just a limitation of the system at the time. And it hurt. It hurt because I was like, man, that was a really cool game. I still remember watching a Let's Play of it, and it was just like, dude, this is dope. I kind of wish they did this a while before, and have this available. But then afterwards, it kind of the hype died out. And then we never saw another one for a while.
Yeah. But now it's all about Project Zomboid.
What the fuck is Project Zomboid? I'll be honest, I literally have no fucking clue what that is, and I just never care to check it out.
Project Zomboid is... How do I put this? It's it's an open world zombie game that you can play with your friends to kind of just survive in this world. It's like a hardcore RPG, essentially. And you can you go around the world just kind of looting houses or different buildings to be able to build or craft or just find something to use to be able to survive in this world.
Mm-hmm.
And that's basically just a concept. It's a zombie survival game that you can play with online with friends.
Yeah.
And it's relatively cheap too. It's $20. And there is a 4-pack deal where you can buy I think it's a 4-pack deal, I think. I would have to pull up the Steam page again. But I think they have a 4-pack deal where it's you get a copy for yourself and then 3 for friends.
Mm-hmm.
And it's $60. So you're already saving $20 right there if you have 3 other friends to play it with.
Yeah.
But I've watched some streamers play it, and I'm like, oh, this kind of looks fun. It's not something I'd personally play, but I can definitely see why people enjoy it.
Yeah. I mean, it's not bad. I think it's like, again, it's just kind of based off of how it, how it's set up for it. So it is what it is when it comes down to it. It's just sort of the reality of that situation.
Yeah.
Which does suck, but I mean, again, games are not for everybody. I mean, I watch a Twitch streamer who literally only plays racing games because he doesn't really care for FPSs. It's just like, yeah, I get that. I'm not gonna shit on somebody who doesn't like one thing, but I will 100% shit on somebody for that. If they're, if you shit talk a game. Because the one thing that I always will say is that unless you have played the game, you should not I would say that you don't have the real, right to kind of, shit talk a game. Like, I will shit talk Fortnite the entire fucking time. Even if they have, added new stuff, because still, the fucking core gameplay, I fucking hate. I hate the fact that the mechanics of, the whole point of the skill is, oh yeah, can you build a 3-story building that will have a bathtub, windows, and, air conditioning in, 2 seconds?
Oh, it's funny, because I watched... Oh, God. This is gonna be really funny when you hear it. So, I watched these people, these streamers, these VTubers play Fortnite. And the reason why she was going to play Fortnite, she dragged other members of her company into playing Fortnite because she was like, yeah, I was drunk and I bought the battle pass, so you're going to suffer with me. And they went into it. And at some point they found what's it called? They found people who are just master builders, and I'm like, yeah, there's her. I just saw, and it's funny because one of them was like, yeah, there's a reason why new players don't play this, and it's because the main people who are playing this have been playing it for 5 years.
They've been playing it for the entire season, the entire existence, and it's just this. There's literally, and that's kind of why I hate a lot of things that has such a unique aspect of it, because that plays such a huge part of it.
It's really hard. I think it's dependent, right? Because the gameplay loop for the game is good. I think generally, if you can master it, everything it's a good gameplay loop. But the problem is, it's really hard to get motivated to try and master it when you are put up against players who are just god tier at the game, and the main player base is those people. You get what I mean?
Yeah, I get that. It's just that's kind of why I don't play Fortnite, primarily because it's I'm literally gonna be struggling the entire fucking time, and it's just that's just not fun to me. I will literally need to fucking manipulate it so I get bot lobbies to actually have some kind of form of improvement, and not play against the 12-year-old prodigy who fucking can create a goddamn statue that has fucking turret defense in it in 2 seconds after I hit him for 5 damage. No, I'm not gonna deal with that. That's what happened once. I literally played. I was just you know what? Let me just hop into Fortnite one time. First match I get in, right? I'm solo, right? I'm just I got guns, and I got it. Didn't see anybody for 3 minutes. Shocker, right? Fucking battle, the battle royale. Hey, guess what? You're not gonna see anybody until the last friggin' round. And so then, I move up. I'm like, oh shit, I see this guy out here. Still haven't gotten a decent gun, so I still have a white friggin' rifle. I fire it. Fucking this motherfucker just shoots up and goes 500 fucking feet up in the air, and I'm just like, okay, cool, that's fantastic. Like, I fucking love that. That's just perfect. Like, great.
Mhm.
And after he got up there, I'm just like, I'm fucking done. Exit out, uninstalled, fucking just nope. And I hate it when it's like that. Like, for Apex Legends, yes, movement. You will see people like fucking slide and just like shoot you one shot. But that is very hard to master. There's very few times that you will go up against that, and normally it's in ranked, not in the actual casual play. Like, casual play, you'll be able to fight people no problem. And then there's Warzone. I don't understand what the mechanic is within that. I think it's just, you have to just be super, like, try-hardy or have a really good computer.
Right? 'Cause, like, so Warzone is just, like, taking Call of Duty's gameplay and putting it in a battle royale and adding and I guess the really cool gimmick that it has is the gulag.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is I think that part is actually, like, really cool. Primarily because it's like, oh, hey, this is a way to kind of fight your way back into the fight. And it's like, it's dope. And then you can also, like, pay people. Like, you can buy people out. But I think the one thing is that I feel like out of all of the battle royales, right? The one that I feel like has the most level playing field is Apex. And it's primarily because of two things. One, the skills and the abilities all are pretty much the same. Granted, they have different effects, but it's not something where it's like, oh yeah, I can just easily one-shot you. Or I can do this. It's still going to be luck-based. It's still going to be, like, oh, do you have the better gun or do you have the better placement? But it primarily, again, it's just like, can you manipulate the fight properly? And your abilities don't really have that huge, like, impact unless it's your ultimate, It's like, okay, yeah, I can like put down a fucking jump pad and fly 500 feet in the air, and I got height advantage instantly. And then, you have Revenant, who is like, okay, let me just put a save state here, freaking go run in, like, put as much damage out that I can, like, potentially die, and then, oh yeah, I'm back here, no problem, heal, we're good. And so, and I think, like, Apex, the way that it is like, it's good like that. And also, it runs fine. Like, you can play that on low, and you'll still get decent frames on a potato. Meanwhile, you have, like, fucking Call of Duty, where it's like, oh, yeah, if you don't have a decent computer, like, if you don't have, like, a fucking 3070 or some shit like that, you look at, like, one place out in the distance, and unless you're on, like, super low quality, super low graphics, and super low resolution, oh, hey, do you want to see a slideshow? Here's a slideshow. And it's just like, oh, it hurts when it's just like, it doesn't feel as optimized as it did back when, when it was first introduced. Which sucked, because I honestly did enjoy it back in the beginning when, you were able to still play it no problem. But now it's like, for me, I can't really play it that much. I can't only, like, you could only play it for, like, maybe an hour or so before, like, oh yeah, here's a memory leak that has still not been patched out. And, yeah, have fun dealing with those less than 40 frames a second. Just like, that's great. That's perfect. That's awesome.
Apex is just the only battle royale I really play, because at this point it's just I feel like it's the only one I can play that I have fun with.
I mean, that's always the one thing, and I still think because, again, also, you don't get fucking killed from just falling off of a fucking building. I think that's the best part about it too. Is like, oh yeah, you don't need to worry about fall damage. It's fantastic, and I love it. It's great.
It's wild. It's wild how, like, different a game can be when you take away fall damage.
I mean, the thing is that a lot of the times it opens it up a lot. Because when you really look at it,
like fall damage is, is a huge equalizer. Like if you're playing up in the fucking tower, you're limited only to that tower. But if if you remove fall damage, you're playing on the full field. Like you have the ground, you have the top of the tower, you have the innards of the tower. Like everything is in a level, like it is in the actual playing field that you can use. And honestly, I think that's always a good thing because, again, a lot of the times, limiting that play, like limiting the amount that you can maneuver is just not a really good thing to do when it comes into it. Because, within Valorant, within CSGO, within all the tactical shooters, you always want to make sure that you have, like, the technical knowledge of the maps. And with that whole thing coming up, it's just like, okay, yeah, this is what we need to do. This is how we can manipulate ourselves around the map. But when you have fall damage being such a huge thing in an open world scenario, you still have it where, if you're at a certain height, that ground, right? Like it limits you kind of going up and up and up. And that's just how it is when it comes to it. It's just, it is what it is. Also, hi, Maze. How are you doing? Thanks for the follow, by the way. But anyway, back to what I was saying. Like, that's why, fall damage, even though it seems like it's such a, it's basic thing that comes into every game, if you remove it, you get such a different layout of the game because, there is no limitations at that point other than kill barriers or just everything falling underneath you.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm always like, if there is anything that's based off of movement, do not have fall damage. Because if you have fall damage, you're literally limiting the movement, which doesn't make fucking sense. But it's good to hear that you're doing good, Maze. We're just here just talking about stuff. You missed about an hour of it. But, don't worry. All this is going to be going up on YouTube. If you're not listening to this on Twitch, you should go and follow my Twitch because we record these live. A lot. Yeah, just hit the follow button. It's a very simple thing. It's down in the description. But if you're also watching this on Twitch and you just hopped in, you might want to, check out the YouTube. But when this goes up, obviously, duh. And then you can kind of skip around. How am I doing? I'm doing well. Chilling, Just doing the things, talking about stuff, and having a fun time. What was how many? Maybe not that. That's something we didn't do yet. Although, depending on how things go, possibly that may happen. We don't condone murder. I'm just saying right now we are very, everyone's well-being is intact. Murder in game. Okay, in game. Oh, man.
No, officer, I did not punch that child.
Yes, officer, I punched him in game, not in life. I don't know what he's ranting about. You just had it where it's just like, oh yeah. You condone murder? How dare you? It better be in game. It has to be in game, or we don't condone it. I allegedly. Oh yeah, speaking of games. Oh, what is the in Minecraft? So what do you
What are you gonna ask?
Oh, I was gonna say it's like I'm trying to remember. Like I know that you're not gonna be touching Dying Light 2 in a little bit, but personally for you, like, are you gonna be streaming any of the games that you're gonna be playing through?
I thought about it. Since I am gonna be getting a new mic and a Go XLR next week when they arrive on Friday, I think.
That's not bad.
I probably will look at streamingless games. I don't have them pre-ordered or bought just yet. I probably will because my tax return is coming in next week.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I'll probably use some of my tax return to go ahead and buy the 2 games I'm missing. That being Horizon and Elden Ring.
Honestly, I'm kind of hoping that you would buy Elden Ring just so I can watch you play it, because I'm just like, I'm not going to be... I don't have anyone else who's going to be playing it.
Yeah.
So. And obviously, because it's Dark Soul-esque.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be a little interesting because the lore was worked on by 2 people. The main creator, the guy who directed Dark Souls 1 and 3, worked on the lore, and he worked on the lore with George R.R. Martin. And so I'm like, George R.R. Martin's really good at making lore backgrounds, especially because if you look at the lore stuff for,
I mean, I heard
for his Song of Ice and Fire stuff, it is fucking wild.
I mean, I've heard he is a small time book writer, very small time, totally unobscure, very indie. They're totally not a $1 billion market that kind of almost focused around solely his work. Totally.
I'm gonna say something controversial. The plot points of season 8 of Game of Thrones are not necessarily bad. The reason why season 8 sucks is because none of those plot points are built up to.
Wait, are you talking about in the book they're not bad? Because
in the TV show.
Oh,
Season 8 the plot points are not necessarily bad. The problem was that none of it had build up.
I mean, I think that's always the one thing when it comes to it. You need to have that build up, because if you don't,
it was not built up at all that Arya was going to be the one to kill the Night King. It was not built up at all that Daenerys would go crazy. It was not built up at all that Jaime Lannister would go ahead and go back to being an incest fucker. It was. It was kind of
expected.
It was not built up at all that
he can't turn his back on family, bro.
It was not built up at all that the Hound would basically somehow convince Arya in just a one conversation to go back and just not try and kill Cersei. The plot points in season 8 are interesting and sound like they make a good story on paper, but there's no build up. There's no proper build up.
I mean, that was kind of it. That's always just the thing of it, because how many episodes did they do for 8?
6.
Yeah, there's literally no room for it.
Yeah.
That's always the thing when it comes to huge shows like that. It's just eventually it gets to the point where it's just there's not enough episodes to really do shit about it. So it's just all right, let's rush it.
They did that to themselves, and it wasn't HBO that did it. It was Weiss and Benioff. And the reason why I say this is because HBO literally said they offered them as much seasons as they needed. They said, if you need it, we will fund literally 10 more seasons of this show.
I think they were just sick and tired of it at that point. Let's
consider that, though. Consider the fact that HBO was willing to consider a fuck ton more seasons and realize that Weiss and Benioff did it themselves.
I mean, that's just...
I understand being sick of a show, but to not at that point you should just hand the reins off to someone, because
honestly, yeah,
it's better than just ruining it.
I mean, hey, it's one of those things where it just becomes I feel like the one thing is that they honestly, when it comes to it, and I think this is something that has to be done for like any movie series, any books, like, any TV shows, like anything based off of books, make sure the shit's finished before you go through
They
it.
also just had some weird plot points. Or not to say plot points, but weird things where it's like, I don't think the writers interacted with each other when it came to writing episodes. Because the long night happens, and the Dothraki are wiped out.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next episode comes, and hey, by the way, not only is the Dothraki back alive, but we've tripled their numbers somehow.
They fucked like rabbits.
I'm just like, what the fuck?
It's like, yeah, that totally makes sense. I always,
Well, there's
it's
some
always
weird
like,
writing issues with it, where it's like, it's clear that there wasn't communication between episodes.
plot holes are great. Oh, dude, speaking of plot holes, oh my god, I think this is the funniest fucking thing ever. So, it brought up something, like a memory of the past. Oh. So I was down in Louisiana, because I'm trying to remember what happened. But there was, I think, the floods happened down in Louisiana, and we had family down there, and we went to help them out. Now, there was times where, like, my cousin, who was, in college at the time, she was hanging out with other friends, and it's like, oh, hey, yeah, why don't you, like, join in, because it's like, a lot of the stuff that they're doing here, it's likely boring and all that. And so it's like we went and hung out. And so we went to see the movie Passengers. The one with Jennifer Lawrence and Chris Pratt. And holy crap. Like, granted, visually it was beautiful. But oh my god, I could not recommend that movie, primarily because a couple of her friends were like engineering majors. And we were just discussing the amount of plot holes in that fucking show, like in that movie afterwards. And we were just like always just caught. It's like that. It's like I don't. It's like no, this shouldn't happen. Like, why don't you have fail safes? And it was just funny because it was supposed to be like, oh, it's a romance, like suspenseful, like sci-fi shit or whatever the fuck it was supposed to be. But it was just like, dude, this is like not like proper at all. Like, there's like no safety fucking shit or anything for the backups. And it was hilarious because it's just like, yeah, we know what the movie's about. We didn't care for that. There was just too many glaring mistakes. I don't even know how well it did, too. How well did Passengers do? I wonder.
I don't want to talk. I was fine with Passenger. Like, dude, I was so into Passengers, and then he does what he does to the pod, and I'm just like, why? This was such a good movie, and then he does what he does to her, and I'm just.
Oh yeah, no, we fucking flip shit at that. I was just like, bro, you legitimately, like, you're a fucking dumbass. And
when that happened, it took me out of the movie so fucking hard, dude.
And the best part was, the best part of the entire thing was that this motherfucker did go to the medic bay and saw, oh hey, there's an option that you can cryo freeze for the rest of the time. He doesn't do that. He doesn't do that.
To be fair, I wouldn't think of that either.
I mean, personally, for me, I would have just seen every single option. I would
assume, because, like, in my brain, I'm assuming that, like, it's only in these pods that they have. Like, I would not, because I don't know. I also feel it's weird that there's no real way to go back into, like, stasis with it. I don't know. I feel like it's weird that there's no failsafe for it. I feel like that was a huge plot hole.
Holy, like, legitimately, the entire thing was the fact. Like, the entire plot point of this fucking movie was based that was a shoddily designed spaceship. Like, that's the thing. It was a shit-built spaceship that fucking broke down after one piece of fucking rock hit it. And it's like, this is bullshit, dude. You can't tell me that not only there was no failsafes for that, even if there was, like, a system that was set up within it, nothing. Just nothing came up of it. And it just is like, okay, no, no. I don't like that. Like, that just doesn't make sense. And then it's just like, I feel like you may not have thought of that, right? But I would feel like, out of desperation, I would figure out every single thing before dragging someone down with me, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, hell, at that point, I would have been like, oh, I'll just off myself, you know? Worst case scenario. It's better, like, granted, the place is not going to smell nice after, but hey, I'm not going to, like, live to be, like, 100 while they get out, and it's just like, what the fuck? Like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
But it's just, I have so many issues about it. So many. Oh my god. I think we, like, ranted on about, like, 500 different things in, like, in like an hour and a half.
Yeah, I've just never had a movie take me out that hard, that easily. Like, that was just...
Yeah, me neither. Me neither.
I couldn't believe it when it happened, and I was just like, what the fuck am I watching? I remember that was a controversy when it came out. People were fucking pissed off.
Well, yeah, who wouldn't be? Like, literally, when Jennifer Lawrence's character, like, got, like, super fucking, like, flipped shit on him, I thought it was 100% justified. Like, yeah, no, you were right. That dude's an asshole.
Yeah, it was fucking...
like, and then it's just like, no, like, there should not be a happy ending for you. There really shouldn't have been. Honestly, it's like, you should have just been, I honestly, if the whole thing is that hers also malfunctioned and not him purposely breaking it, I felt like that would have been better. 100%. That would have changed and made the whole thing so much better. Personally, that's what I would believe. That was the one thing. If they did not do what they did, I would have higher regards to it. But the fact that Chris Pratt's character is a fucking asshole, I just despise that movie. It's like, oh, it's so romantic. It's like, bitch, are you fucking crazy? That shit's fucked. I'll never accept it. I'll never accept it. But anyway, I think that's pretty much all that we kind of, in terms of, like, stuff to talk about. I think I feel like we'll do, like, literally another one next time. After Witch Queen, likely.
Yeah, I was going to ask if you wanted to do it after or before Witch Queen.
I'm thinking we do it after, because honestly, at this point, like, I feel like we need the next major thing for both of us that we can really talk about would be Witch Queen. So that's always going to be something.
The only thing I really know that we could talk about is, like, drama that's happening in VTuber stuff, but
yeah, like, as much as I would want to. I gotta
be real honest, like, dude. I don't know what the fuck is happening in the past few years, but for some reason, it feels like the VTuber community has drama every fucking day. Not every other week, not every week, every day.
I mean, how many VTubers are there now?
A lot.
So it kind of makes sense.
But it's just like, oh my god, the shit that has happened with, like, Calliope Mori and the shit that's happened with Vebe, I'm like, oh, dude.
Well, I mean, each of them have a huge fucking following.
Let me go ahead and tell about what happened with Vebe, because Vebe's thing can be like talked about for like a moment. So
the millennium.
Vebe was talking about another streamer. I think it was Shy Lily, another VTuber, who has a similar voice to her. And she was getting annoyed with her chat because she kept getting compared to Shy Lily, who came after her. And
honestly, yeah,
she made a comment that I feel like was fueled by a combination of things, like a combination of being petty and being annoyed with your chat, but also I'm like, you could have just walked away from this and not said this stupid thing. What she said was like, if you want to settle for less, go ahead. And there's a clip of her There's a clip of Shy Lily reacting to it. She reacted fairly maturely, where she's like, "I'm not going to. There's no drama. Let's just drop it, guys." But like, you could see that she was clearly bothered by it because what happened was that like she heard her say the lesser thing, and then she was like, she literally like you can literally see her model's eyes fucking narrow, and it's like that the narrowing of the eyes tells you all you need to know.
I mean,
but she handled it a lot better because she was just like, yeah, let's just drop it, guys. Let's just no drama.
Honestly,
and I'm like, I'm really happy that like there's someone who can do that. But I'm like, holy fucking Christ, Vay.
I mean, honestly, for me, the way that I would have done it would have been like oh shit, the jig is up.
Like, don't get me wrong, it's being blown out of proportion what she said, but I still think it's like I still think it was rude of her to say that.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if she was trying to say that as like in a joking manner, but I mean, again, I don't have the context of that, so I can't really say how she was in that. But
I really think it was really just her. I think a lot of it was just being fueled by the fact her chat was just not dropping the subject.
Honestly, I feel like the thing is that I mean, granted, yes, there's better ways to handle it, but I feel like in that moment, when essentially your chat is being a piece of shit, it will happen. Like I've seen like creators flip shit on their chat because their chat's being fucking stupid. What?
Speaking of chat, something happened really dumb. So, Luxium is a group in Nijisanji.
Wait, I thought Nijisanji was a group.
Yeah, it's a group, but they have different every time they debut a set of VTubers, they have different names, group name for them.
So hold on,
like, the company they work for is Nijisanji, but their VTuber, but like they have their different like kind of like debut kind of things.
Oh, it's like, oh, this is the class of this.
Yeah, kind of like that.
Do they at least work together with like other?
Yeah, they all work together. They can collab with each other.
Okay.
They handle it differently than Hololive. Hololive has a month ban on collabs every time a group debuts, so they can only collab with their own group, and then after that month is over, they can collab with everyone. The reason why is because they want the streamers to go and build up their own fan base, and not have to worry about like
relying on other people.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Now, Nijisanji does not care about that. They just let them like interact with whatever. Now,
honestly, I think that's a better option, primarily because of the fact that it's like you are going to be exposed to multiple different like groups, and it's likely that because of that exposure, more people are going to go to you because it's like, I like this person better than this person, or the whole thing, and then it's like, I wonder what they do on their own, and it helps.
Yeah. So there's a group that debuted in December called Luxium, and it's the all-male group. It's not necessarily the first male VTuber under a corporate company, because I think that was
Was-
Sundaria that did that.
Wasn't there like it was like Hollow Stars? I think Hollow
Well,
Stars
Hollow-
was
yeah,
all male.
yeah.
Hollow Live
Yeah,
was all
but
female. And Hollow
but I'm
Stars
talking
was-
about Ian.
Oh,
Hollow Stars doesn't have Ian yet.
Mm.
Emphasis on yet. We don't know what they'll do with that.
And before
But
like we
let's-
just
but
apply, it's
as
like
far
oh
as
here we go.
as far as Ian male VTubers go, I know Sundaria has some, but the Nichi Sanji ones have grown unbelievably well. Like they were doing much better than like the previous the previous gens of like all the other ones just in their first month, and it's been crazy. But there's this event that happened recently where Luca Kaneshiro was doing a Ring Fit adventure stream, and
Wait.
his chat was being very uncomfortable, I would say. I don't think he realized it, because I don't think he was really looking at the chat when those moments happened.
So hold on, define uncomfortable. Like, was it like, oh, this is just really cringe, or
You know how
oh, this
some-
is
you know
not
how
something
you-
you should say in a
You,
workplace?
you know how some people will say things where it's like, why? And it's like, because so Luca was panting a lot because after a fucking hour of working out, of course you're gonna be fucking tired and panting, right?
Me after I ran a marathon because I thought it was a good idea for a joke. That's what I
But
would
you,
say.
but you get what I mean, right?
I'm
So
guessing.
it's like these people are just commenting on it and like making a lot of weird and kind of sexual jokes and other things, and it's like, don't know about that. So
Yeah.
one of the mods was trying to calm it down, trying to stop it, because it was getting uncomfortable territory from some of those people.
Mm-hmm.
And the mod timed out one person, and people were claiming that the mod banned them. But no, the mod only timed them out. Now, Luca went on Twitter and addressed some of it by saying that he doesn't want to hear about any lies about his mod banning someone when all the mod did was
Time out for
time
like
out
what?
someone.
10 minutes, I guess, because that's I think
I'm
the
not
default.
quite sure. I'm not quite sure what it is on YouTube.
Oh, this was on
Um,
YouTube. I thought this was on Twitch.
No, it's on YouTube. No, I'm not quite sure how much it is. But that happened, and he sent that tweet out, and some people started like attacking Luca for him calling them liars, and I'm like, well, when you decide to say that the mod did something they didn't, you're kind of a fucking liar.
Yeah.
And some people were like, oh, well, the mod was making us uncomfortable. The only reason that the mod would be making you uncomfortable is if you were part of the problem. If you were not part of the problem, there is no reason for the mod to make you uncomfortable, because the mod was only going after people who were doing stupid shit.
Mm-hmm.
And yet people were still like kind of going after Luca and the mod, and I'm just like, look, I'm sorry, but neither Luca nor the mod owe you people an apology.
Honestly, the way that I'm looking at it is like, bro, stop trying to gaslight a wet match, bro. Stop. Because that's what they're trying to do. Like when it comes down to it, like you literally have it at that point where it's just like, all right, this is something that really does not make fucking sense. Like, why are you trying to say that he's wrong when he knows the facts? Like, there's literally no reason to do that. Like, oh no, how terrible. And it's a fucking ban, bro. Like, it's not like he just fucking purged the entire fucking chat. Like, it was one dude, and it was a timeout. Oh no, man got banned. Okay, guess what? That's kind of what happens if you don't follow the fucking rules of the chat. You know? Like, that's just kind of how it is. And I don't understand why people think, like, it's just so fucking stupid. Like, when it comes to it, like,
And actually, keep
hate
talking.
people.
I'm gonna find something real quick.
Yeah, like, I like, personally, I hate it when people are like, oh, this man banned me because of this. It's like, dude, I want you to realize right now that what they're doing is not specifically for you. It's not going to be accustomed to you personally. Yes, you like what they're doing. Doesn't mean they're doing it for you. They're doing it for entertainment purposes, and you enjoy said entertainment. You still got to abide by the rules that they set. Like for me, you can swear, you can cuss, you can do all that stuff, but as long as you're not saying anything racist, stupid, or causing some shit, I'm gonna be saying like whatever to it. Now, granted, you know, the way that I see it is that if you're not causing a disturbance or causing a concern, or not doing some spammy shit, go right ahead. If you want to talk, I'll be more than happy to talk, but if you say something really fucking stupid, guess what? You're gonna get a stupid prize of a timeout. And if you decide to guess, like, you know, win stupid game, like play stupid, after that, hey, guess what? You're going to win another stupid prize. That's a ban. That's just how it is. And so I think when people are like, oh, this man banned me, it's like, well, there's a fucking reason you did, buddy. There's a reason you got timed out. There's a reason for everything. It's not because, oh, well, whatever. Like, there's always a cause and effect to it. It's not something that just happens. You know, it's either you antagonize the wrong person, you antagonize somebody, or you do something that's not allowed. That's just
so let me
is.
go ahead and like read one of these tweets that someone was saying. The point is, you don't mind the viewers sending this emote, but your moderator forbade us to do that. Though she's your moderator, she has no right to do so. Here's a fun fact, ladies and gentlemen. A moderator has every right to forbade you from doing something because they're there to moderate.
Yeah, I mean, honestly,
the moderator was chosen to do their job for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
If a moderator tells you not to do something,
don't do it.
Definitely 100% within rights and with permission from the fucking YouTuber or Twitch, the Twitch streamer, whatever, that has asked them to moderate because they trust them to do their job correctly.
I mean, that's just the reality of it, man. That's just kind of how it is. Because the one thing is that when it comes down to it, right? I'm not, you know, granted, I'm a fucking small ass Twitch streamer and YouTuber. You know, like I can control what, like, you know, what my people do. But a lot of the times, like, there's gonna be times where, you know, you may have more people, or the person's gonna be there. Guess what? When you give someone moderator powers, you're literally giving them the option to do what they believe is correct within the channel. And the way that I see it is that I will say this: if they're being an asshole and not in a funny way, if they're being racist, if they're being like a piece of shit, ban them or time them out. You know, warn them, time them out, ban them. That's how it is. And the thing is that because I give it to them like that, they know that's how I feel. And if they believe that's, you know, if something that they believe is, you know, them being a piece of shit, even if I may not think of it, hey, guess what? I give them the authorization to to put those actions in place. And so that's just how it is. Like, yeah, like.
Now now don't get me wrong, there is some stuff that his mod has done that is definitely a problem.
I mean,
but
there's always
as far as that goes, that's an entirely different conversation that that doesn't really have anything to do with moderating that stream.
I wouldn't expect.
However, there is some controversy with that moderator where it's like, ooh.
I have a feeling.
What I mean is that apparently, from what I can tell, I don't have the full context here, so there's a lot missing.
I really don't like when
this moderator has apparently been doing some targeting towards Chinese viewers or something. Now, I don't know necessarily exactly what's happening with that. I would have to look into it more. Because there's a fuck ton of context missing.
I feel like it's primarily because
I'm wondering exactly what that means, because I keep seeing people say, oh, your mod is targeting Chinese viewers or Chinese people, and I'm like, can I have the context, please? Like, what's happening
Oh,
here?
I feel like it's like there's a lot of I know that there was like I remember I think Kate, she talked about this a while back where there was like a lot of shit between like the Chinese Hololive people and like the Japanese and everyone else because like for some fucking reason the Chinese Hololive people were just like, okay, whatever, like, you know, we don't really care about what happens to everyone else. And like apparently one of them was getting like so much hate from like the Chinese audience or something. I like again, I don't remember. I like it this was like a passing thing that came up, and it's like it's likely that it could just be at that point like preemptive measures, but again, context is always necessary. So I don't know like what exactly is the thing is. So that's just kind of how it is. But that's
Although
that's
I'm
just,
wondering exactly what happened because a lot of the stuff, a lot of these comments seem like they're kind of like very similar comments. So I don't know if it's like a bot or multiple comment or multiple like accounts under one person. A lot of these things on Twitter, I'm like, this is kind of weird how a lot of these comments are really similar.
oh yeah. Also, funny thing is speaking of people, you know, potentially being like, you know, being called out by like different people. The thing is that there was actually a YouTube channel that was hit by 3,500 takedown notices. Now, the owner of the channel, he, you know, he also said that like, you know, he closed down, he's going to shut down his channel because honestly, it's like it's not worth his time. And so to give more context, the channel, he uploads like original game soundtracks from Nintendo, like Nintendo games. And you know, primarily because there is really no other conduit. Like they, you know, Nintendo has not provided anything that shows otherwise. Like, oh, hey, yeah, we came out with this like really cool album or something, or it's like, oh, it's available on Spotify, or here's the official location that you can listen to them. You know, it's not. And so people were kind of like, okay, this is a bit scumbaggy. And this guy got it within literally 2 weeks. 3,500 copyright takedown claims in 3 weeks. Well, no, sorry, 2 weeks. I think it may be even shorter. I may be just saying it like longer because honestly, it's like that's still a fuck ton. That's like what I think per day, like at least what I think like 50 takedown notices per day. And it's like they said that it was like, oh, it looks like, you know, this shit was manually done. It wasn't automatic. It was manual. So some freaking dude did that. And so then people looked into it and they saw that that actually might not be from Nintendo. Because the one thing is that because yes, Nintendo is very protective of their IPs. We've all known that. We've kind of expected that. They've taken down a lot of fan projects, a lot of videos connected to those or dedicated to those. And the thing is that it was the takedown notice that it said on those particular videos. So normally, Nintendo will always go and say if it is a legitimate takedown by Nintendo, they will say like, okay, this is going to be for, you know, like, all right, this has been taken down by Nintendo of America LLC, or you know, Nintendo, like, you know, Nintendo Incorporated, or Nintendo, whatever the Japanese branch was. And it's like, okay, yeah, that's like a legitimate takedown from Nintendo. But the dude was getting takedown notices that say like, oh, this has been taken down by Nintendo. Not Nintendo of America, not like a specific branch of Nintendo or a company under Nintendo's like publishing system, just Nintendo. And so people are thinking like, yo, wait, hold up. This might be literally just one dude fucking people over because for the fuck of it. And it wasn't like, oh, these are copyright claims. No, these were copyright takedown notices. Like, this guy was like, you know, if it was like, oh, he's violating DMCA type shit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, and apparently they've tracked this down to videos that were taken down back in 2019. And it's just so bizarre when it comes to it, because it's just like, what benefit are you getting out of that? Like, if it was like a copyright claim, it's like, okay, yeah, that kind of makes a little bit more sense, because you're making, you know, you're making the revenue off of those videos. You know, it's like that's understandable. But it's like you're like copywriting, you know, you're doing a takedown notice on this dude, and you're not even like from Nintendo? What? What's going on here, buddy? What's going on? This doesn't make fucking sense at all. And it's just like, who the fuck knows? And it's like, it doesn't make sense, too. It never, like, we still don't understand, like, what's going on for it. But that's just kind of how it is. And it's just, like, it's so, like, ugh, it's terrible.
You know, I'm looking into this controversy, and the more I look into it, the more I'm thinking, that there's some light. There is some actual light from the fan. Because they're saying that Misuchi tweeted something out in regards to "I don't understand Chinese." Now, it's possible the tweet was deleted, but I can't find. I'm not seeing a screenshot of the tweet from anyone, and when I look at the mod's Twitter, I'm not seeing the tweet. So I don't understand. Because all I'm seeing is that all they did was time out someone. Let's see. I can't find anything about the Chinese thing. Where the fuck? Oh my god, these fucking morons. Yep. I know, yeah. I'm sorry, this controversy is dumb. So the tweet they're referring to is, I wish I could communicate with chat better, but I unfortunately do not understand Chinese. I hope you can forgive me. From now on, I'll try to be more silent and do my job. I want to do better for you and Luca in the future. Yeah, that's just like looking at the actual tweet, I'm just like, yeah.
People are fucking stupid.
I like this. Oh, this person who screenshotted it is, "Don't do this again, Misuchi. No one using Chinese to communicate with you in your tweet." And I'm like, are you serious? I'm literally looking at a bunch of fucking Chinese tweets in the replies. Like, are you serious? Are you fucking lying? How are you gonna lie to me straight up when I see a bunch of people who are saying that they're literally translating from Chinese to English? How are you gonna straight up lie? I'm done with that shit. That's so stupid.
People are dumb. That's just how it is. People are dumb. I know, like, there's some.
They're
like,
literally taking something that is so incredibly small and blowing it to an unbelievable proportion.
Welcome to, like, literally any fan group ever. That's just how it is. Like, for some fucking reason, and it'll never ever make sense. But once you get to a point, you're gonna literally have so much shit go down that it just doesn't make sense. And the problem is that if you have like an online personality type deal, like, you know, all the VTubers, it's gonna come more often because, again,
there's a reason why I don't go. Like, the one time I visited 4chan was because I was curious. It's the only time I've ever been on 4chan, because I saw people saying, "Oh yeah, Calliope Mori lives in their head, in the people on /VT/ the head rent free. I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? Rent, like, what do you mean lives in their head rent free? And then I went on there and I instantly understood. I was like, Christ.
Yeah, literally, it's like
There was. Let me say, like, I'm not gonna say like the stuff that'll actually like be a problem on stream today. I'm gonna say some of the stupid shit. I saw people saying, "Well, the reason why this VTuber doesn't do well is because she didn't do karaoke streams. And there's a reason why I don't watch their content because they didn't do karaoke streams." Or that's not in reference to Callie, but a different VTuber. I'm like, if your only reason for watching VTubers is because of karaoke streams, I just, you're an idiot.
That sounds right. That sounds right. I mean, personally, for me, the way that I think about it is that if it is based off of like, oh, you want to watch one type of thing, that's understandable. Like, you know, like, oh, you want to watch Destiny 2, cool. If you want to watch this, cool. But it's like, if essentially you're not giving somebody the time or day just because they don't do one thing, I feel that that's kind of like, type deal. Because like, yeah, there's gonna be points where it's just like, oh, I'll just find someone. Like, that's how I found like a lot of the people that I watch now is because it's like, oh, well, check it out, you know, give it a chance. Yeah. And then boom, there it goes.
And like, so with so there's a lot of weird shit, dude. Do not, if you visit 4chan ever, do not go to /VT/. That is just, I have never seen so much 4chan ridiculous nonsense on there.
4chan is I've never been to 4chan.
Shit, I've only ever heard of 4chan from people. I've never been on there until I decided to check it out with the Cali stuff, and I'm never going on there again.
Well, yeah, because
it's just, see, oh my god,
4chan is literally a cesspool of shit. Because the one thing is that what people think 4chan is like, oh, it's just another message board. No, buddy. The way that 4chan works is that there's literally no moderation on there. That's how a lot of the the fucked up shit is shown on 4chan. Like,
yep.
That's just how it is. Like, that's why no one really, like, because that's where, like, all the denizens, that's where all the people who will get booted off of Reddit, Twitter, Facebook, MySpace, that's where they'll go, because it's like, hey, you know, you can say what the fuck you want, and guess what? No one's gonna know who you are. No one's gonna, you know, prevent you from doing it. Because you can, like, post anonymously, and, like, that's what 90% of people do. They post anonymously. And so it's like, that's just, you know, how it is. That's why when...
There's some wild shit on there. Like, so with Callie, I saw a stupid comment that I didn't understand where they're like, oh, why does Callie act so different when interacting with people outside of the company? And I'm like, I don't understand what they mean by that. Because I've watched her interact with both people in her company and people outside of it, and I'm like, I don't see a difference. Like, the energy levels may be a little different, but like, I just don't agree with the idea that she's different, because I'm just like, because her energy levels really depend on what time she's awake, because I feel like a lot of people who are criticizing her kind of forget she's in Japan while her gen mates are in America.
I mean, honestly, the one thing is that when it comes to it,
when it's like nighttime in America, it's early morning there. You know?
Personally, the way that I see it is that people shouldn't even give a shit. Like, they really shouldn't. Because guess what? Who cares? No one can stay the same way the entire time. There's no fucking way.
Also, I found that generally weird, because, like, I'm fairly sure everyone acts differently in general when it comes to different people, right? Like, you don't act the same with every single person. Like, that's so weird to me that people are like, oh, well, she's fake when she's with Hololive and she's real when she's with Vishojo. And I'm like, no, she just has acts like somewhat differently. I
'Cause-
don't necessarily agree that she acts completely differently because I generally see the same Callie. I'm not going to act the same way with an IRL friend, with like a friend that I've known for a decade, the way I would act with someone I've known a year. Like you interact with people differently, and depending on like what you know about them, how you're comfortable with them, or other different factors, there's going to be different things. You approach people differently. Like I don't understand. It's like these people on 4chan don't know like the basics of social interaction.
Because they're on 4chan.
Okay, fair point.
like 90% of the people who are actively on 4chan really don't have an understanding of social interactions. There's a reason why they're on 4chan is because guess what? You can't be tracked. So you can say some stupid shit. Guess what?
You know what? I want to. So we're gonna end it soon, I'm assuming, but I want to end this off with a wholesome story.
Go for it. I'm down for it.
So something very awesome happened recently. I think it was last weekend. Where Iron Mouse is a VTuber. I think we've talked about her plenty and her condition, how she can't go outside because she has an immunodeficiency.
Oh yeah, she's she's immunocompromised, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so Connor, CDawg VA, you know him because of the controversy he had recently. But this has nothing to do with that.
I mean, I knew him back. Well, I knew him because of Trash Taste.
Yeah. So what he did was he strapped a camera to himself and he live streamed himself going outside around Tokyo, so that Mouse could essentially vicariously kind of live going through Tokyo through him. And he basically through that took her around Tokyo, and just explored Tokyo, showed her around, and even bought some stuff for her.
That's adorable.
And it was genuinely one of the best. It was genuinely one of the most wholesome things out there. There's an edited down version of it on her main channel on YouTube.
Wait, was
the
this
stream
like...
is...
So hold on, just so I can make sure. It was like, was he streaming it directly to her, or was he streaming on Twitch?
So
or
he
YouTube,
was streaming it to her. So the way they did it is they did a co-stream where I think it was streamed on her channel, so that her VTuber model could show up.
Yeah.
But he was streaming it to her, and she was showing it to Twitch. So there was a Twitch audience, and people could go ahead. Could go ahead and watch it with them. But the main point was so that he could show Mousy around.
Is Mouse in Japan too? I thought he was. I thought
No,
she was over here.
Mouse is not in Japan.
Yeah, I thought she was in. Was it NA? It was either NA or...
I think she is. I think she is NA. I'm not quite sure where she is.
I think it was like either like NA.
The whole point is that like because she can't go outside, he went ahead and did this for her.
I mean, that's just awesome.
And it's genuinely like watching that stream and just watching the video in general is one of the most heartwarming things ever.
What? Wait, I just realized, wasn't it the whole controversy that that Connor had was when when she was talking to Iron, if I remember correctly?
Oh, with the HoloLive thing?
Yeah.
So that was taking out complete account. The reason why that was a controversy was because it was completely taken out of context.
Oh, 100%.
So the controversy was that during a conversation with her, he talked about how like you could theoretically get into HoloLive lying on your resume and get a easy start. And And so that's what he was talking about. He was talking about how like talentless people could theoretically do that in a hypothetical situation. Now they were talking about hypotheticals.
Yeah.
People took it out of context
And literally thought, yeah.
and thought he was calling all of Hololive talentless.
Honestly,
When he literally in that clip specified that it was hypothetically a person could do this.
I mean,
But
yeah.
he has gone on multiple times talking about how the people at Hololive are incredibly hard workers, and I'm just like, God, why are people dumb?
No, it's this. It's people who are like Hololive stands are just like they see the clip of like, oh, they're talentless, and they'll blow it up. But then you just see like Connor talk about just like, oh yeah, they're fucking like hardcore, you know, they do their shit like well. The meme, I pretend I don't see that.
Basically.
But it's just funny when people are like really fucking stupid when it comes to it because they're so ingrained. Like, oh, it's if anything negative, just talk about it. Like, there's one thing where it comes to it where it's just like, okay, cool. Like, all right, like you can talk negative about somebody, like go right ahead. Just understand the repercussions. But when people literally like manipulate words, that's just like, bro, that's fucking stupid. You shouldn't do that. And it was like, even when I was watching it, I could see that he was joking about it. Like, he was like, oh, yeah, you can, a talentless person can be on Hololive. Like, you can see that it was a joke, too. Because it's like, he's not an idiot. He's, like, he does dumb shit, but he's not an idiot. Like, spending $10,000 buying statues. But he's not an idiot. And it's like, when it comes down to it, it's just like, people are dumb. But as long as you stay true to what you believe in and what you say, people can be stupid. And just, they'll be stupid. And so it's like, if you can't convince them, they're not worth your time.
True.
But also, to the people who took it out of context, fucking use context, you stupid bitch.
People don't like that though. People don't like context, and then when it's reversed against them, they'll complain about how people need to look at context. But it's like, if you're not willing to look at context for other people, why should other people look at context for you?
Like, like not to bring this into a dark place, but the whole Kyle thing, the Kyle Rittenhouse bullshit, context kind of kind of made the difference on that one.
Yeah.
But honestly, what Connor did for Iron is fucking great. Honest, like the fact that he was just like, you know what? You can't go out, so why don't we travel around Tokyo together? And then just coincidentally have a live stream going on your channel.
Yep. And
it's like, honestly, that I think is like the best thing that you can do in that situation, because it's like, oh, it's so nice. It's like, it's so cute. But with that, ending off on a wholesome note, thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed. If you do watch this on YouTube, do check out the Twitch channel. We do these live. I've said do like 3 times within that whole thing. But yes, we broadcast these live on the channel, as well as, check out the other stuff, because I not only stream, Sapphire also streams. He does it as well. He is a aspiring VTuber when he does get back into streaming. But for anything else, like, check out the other stuff. Check out the, the socials, obviously, Twitter. I almost said Facebook for some fucking reason. I don't know why. Instagram, YouTube, all the basic stuff. But until then, thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.